On today's episode of the Refashioned podcast, we're talking about that luxury AI fashion advert and the very divided response it's gotten, the much loved, much hyped Chanel show potentially giving recession core, the fact that outfit repeating is still a topic of debate online, the fast fashion designer collaboration that sums up the absolute chaos that was fashion in 2025, the viral hoodie fiasco on TikTok, and if that wasn't enough, a couple of other fun things I've seen online recently that I want to share with you guys. So let's get into it. Before we do, welcome back to the Refashioned podcast. If you're new here, then hi, my name's Katie. This podcast is definitely a mixed bag of fashion, sustainability, online culture. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, make sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this on, and we'll get into it. So I realized I'm accidentally normalizing outfit repeating on my Instagram, genuinely not even trying to make a point, but the last 3 posts, or maybe even 4 posts, on my feed have all been of the same outfit, and I didn't notice until I'd posted the last one and then looked back. But since that has been my actual uniform this autumn, the same coat, the same bag with my same cream trousers, I have no excuses. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I bought these things because I love them. Actually, the bag was gifted. But I have these things because I love them. What am I supposed to do? Not wear them out a lot? I say this as though outfit repeating isn't normal in real life. I definitely think it's normalized in real life. No one in person is ever going to stop me and say like, hey, I saw you wearing that coat last time I saw you. Like, what are you doing? But online is a different place entirely. And every so often I see something that reminds me that outfit repeating is still a topic of contention online. I did a whole video on this, I think, on YouTube a little while ago, and people were saying like, surely this isn't a topic of debate. But literally this TikTok came on my feed like this week. And for the people listening to this, rather than watching it, I'll read out the caption. Someone commented, "Why do you wear the same coat all the time?" Which I find weird, X. And yeah, I'm with this creator. What a weird thing to comment on someone's video of them wearing a coat that they've bought themselves. It's insane. But the comments for this video at least give me hope, because everyone is agreeing like this is super, super weird and a very obvious indicator of overconsumption online. Someone said, "Are we supposed to have more than one coat?" Someone else said, "What I want to know is where people are storing their 20 winter coats. I got to keep the selection small." And I think this is actually such a good point. Like, with property prices going up, with storage space of the average person going down, how long are we going to be able to keep this narrative online, at least, that like we need to have multiple coats? Like, we don't have anywhere to store them. And maybe as soon as this becomes about status and wealth signifying, if you have more than a couple winter coats, I feel like the tides online will very quickly change into normalizing outfit repeating all the time. I don't know, the fact that we're still having this conversation online, the fact I'm still getting examples of this, maybe proves to me that TikTok will never get it. But I don't know. Thoughts on this? Anyway, another brief random update. The Refashioned podcast wrap-up stats came out, and honestly, guys, shocked, crying, so happy, because I cannot believe how much the podcast and the YouTube channel has grown this year. And I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has listened and watched and subscribed and commented and messaged me on Instagram. And yeah, it just warms my little heart. So thank you so much. And to the people who tagged me saying that I was in their like top creators on Spotify, that's insane. I love you. I love you all. But also, did we see Lainey Ozark's closet wrapped for 2025 post? I thought that was so fun. I kind of want to do this. I want to know, does anyone else want to do this? I don't know if she got the stats from a online wardrobe platform. I think maybe someone in the comments asked and she didn't reply. But even though I don't have that right now, I still want to try remember these stats and put them in a little post. I think this is so fun. And I love how centered on sustainability Lainey's is, like saying she only did 1 closet clear out, which, given that this was a big year for celebrities doing closet clear outs, I think was, I'm not going to say shade, but like very interesting stats to include. Maybe it's just that Lainey's trying to be more sustainable in her own wardrobe and trying to do less closet clear outs, which I completely understand. But also her saying the stats of what she thrifted versus bought, just all of that feels very, very good. And from a big fashion creator, I think that's great. And I think I'm going to be doing the same on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on that already, what are you doing? You're missing out on seeing the same outfit like 4 times in a row, but also you're going to miss out on this. So you should go follow me on that, bestie. And if you do a closet wrapped because of this video and because of Lainey's post, then tag me in it if you tag her too. Okay, but enough updates. We should start with the first topic for this video because it's a big juicy one. I mentioned that a luxury fashion house had recently come out with an AI advert that was very divisive. The brand is Valentino, and you might not have seen the advert, to which I say, don't bother. But if you've seen it, you'll know it's a really psychedelic, trippy mess that I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but I kind of feel like I'm being fed a subliminal message every time the logo pops up before it devolves into like people hugging and stuff. And it feels like consume every time I see the logo for a brief second. Does that feeling translate? I don't know. That might just be me. But what I will say is it's very interesting to see a brand going so pro AI slop after so much of the industry has decided to lean very much in the opposite direction, very much shout about paying and promoting actual artists, actually creating surreal things and showing the behind the scenes of those processes so people can know it's not AI. This feels like a very divisive split in the industry, like we were saying. And just to say, this is not the first ad where Valentino has used AI in this way, but I haven't seen such a reaction to it as I saw with this specific one, which is why we're mentioning it now. Also, sorry, side note, this coming out just around the same time that Lias has done an anti-AI Xmas heist video where he's on top of the French building, walking down it in 6-inch Vivian heels. The timing is impeccable. Because the first time I saw Lias post about this, I was like, no, AI clickbait, like he's gone to the dark side. But then the next video where he shows it's not AI, I feel like that's so good. And like I said, timing impeccable, having these two things going on at the exact same time and the reactions to both, just showing the contrast there. But that reaction, the reaction to the Valentino ad especially, is what I think we should focus on in a minute. I want to talk more about the video first itself. Apparently, the artist who was behind this, Christopher Royal King, did it by using his own photos, which apparently had analog imperfections and glitches that he said served as intriguing source material with unexpected texture and motion to prompt the AI to use it. I was a little bit confused on the process, but I think he's saying that he fed the photos into AI, asked it to render something, and then fed it back into his own cameras again, his own video camera again. I'm not sure, and I'd like to see like a behind the scenes for this, and if I find one retroactively, I'll put it on the screen. But I think the entire process is really quite confusing, just like the output is, and maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point of this art. I say art like that, I kind of want to put it in quotes, but I guess to some people this is art. Kind of depends what side of the aisle you're on about whether AI content can ever be art. I definitely have my own thoughts on that. But regardless of my thoughts, the think pieces on this entire issue are going crazy. I saw one take on this on TikTok that said, does hating AI make you uncool?
My POV on this is that this is a really early take on where art and culture are headed. Some people are going to claim that this is a class war, right? And not real art. But the truth is that we do not get to define what is and isn't art in the moment. The more they try to exert that control, the more that they fail to see the opportunity in emerging platforms and mediums. I'm personally really interested in this idea that being anti-AI is actually a counter signal to what's next.
And whilst I think this person has understandable takes, if not, I don't necessarily agree with them, but like I see points, I do think it's missing out on one big issue, specifically for where fashion is positioning itself this year, luxury fashion that is, and how that's represented with this AI advert. And basically that thought is that using AI ridiculously undermines the strategy luxury fashion has been seen to be doing in the past year. I've been saying probably more than that, but like really picking up this year, which is focusing on signifying luxury, signifying craftsmanship and quality and status. And this AI advert to me is the antithesis of any progress they could have made so far. And I'm not the only one to be saying this, to be fair. A couple of comments I've seen on various pieces of work talking about this. AI does not match luxury and craftsmanship. I think it's too accessible to be cool. The bubble will pop because if Joe Schmo can imitate it immediately, then that's not very chic. Both points I completely agree with. If luxury is trying to build up its exclusivity, build up the reason why people should shop it at that price point, then using AI is, like I said, like the antithesis to this. One interesting think piece I saw for this was Amy O'Brien's take for Vogue Business. She discussed the AI advert, discussed this reaction to it from people saying this isn't luxury, and explained it by saying, but that's exactly the point. Following up with, in 2026, could authentic, glitchy experiments be the safest way to approach AI? Now, I think this Vogue Business article is bending over backwards to justify this Valentino ad and position it as like an early indicator of what will become cool in fashion and where fashion is inevitably moving to, and people shouldn't stop it happening. Like it's gonna happen. It's bending over backwards to justify that. And I think maybe that's all to do with Vogue Business as a publication and being very careful about placating the investors that, you know, keep their platform running. Because there's one quote from the article that really annoyed me. The decision to commission digital artists for the wider project is significant because it reframes AI not as a shortcut, but as a medium that requires authorship, interpretation, and most importantly, taste. Now that little tidbit is from Kyle Wheeler, Global Executive Creative Director of R/GA. And we need to talk about what Kyle's saying there, because reframing AI as a medium that requires authorship is so ironic to me. If you're going to talk about AI and the authorship of a creative campaign like this, but you're not going to mention the fact that AI is built off previous work, previous artists' work, taking all of that, removing any credit, stripping it down, and then regurgitating it into something else, then what are you doing? Like, you're saying half the story. Like, you're giving half the credit to this artist that's, yes, fed his own photos into AI, but who trained AI? Who was reliant on the end product coming out as it did? Where is the authorship there? I feel like what's going on is that fashion has seen people sending AI slop memes to each other, ironically, I think, especially on Instagram Reels. Like, I know that goes crazy on Instagram Reels, and they've seen it as like people co-signing AI slop in a way and moving towards it being okay. They want to see more of it in real life. And fashion has taken that and decided, okay, great, let's do creative campaigns that use this AI slop. People love it. It'll have the same ironic, funny, shareable aspect to it that these memes do. But there's a difference, isn't there, between an Instagram meme being ironic, being stupid, but people share it to their friends because it's so weird, and the fashion industry using it to represent their brand and their ethos and the products they're trying to sell to us for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. How can they not see that? How can they not see that there's a certain level of buy-in here that doesn't equate? Sending an Instagram meme versus supporting a brand. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Okay, big topic done with. Let's do something light. Let's talk about this TikTok reel Instagram I found about digital archives and the legacy we will leave as internet dwellers. Okay, I think analogue could have been the word of the year if TikTok had anything to say about it. And I don't think it's going anywhere in 2026. In fact, I think it's going to blow up even more, and people are going to be turning to analogue in every single aspect of their lives if they haven't done it already. Obviously, that's not really what this reel is about. If you're listening rather than watching, again, I'll read it out. Just a caption: my grandkids will get my Pinterest login as part of their inheritance. But I think there's something actually so interesting in that, and I think it kind of ties into something we've talked about on the podcast already. I don't know if you guys remember, but we did a segment about someone else's TikTok video talking about whether we as a generation will have anything to pass on to our kids and grandkids if we plan to have them, that is. Most notably in terms of fashion. seeing as fast fashion has dominated so much of our lives. Quality of clothing is going down. There's no guarantee that clothes will last that long anymore. What will become of the vintage archival fashion passed down from mother to daughter, from grandmother to daughter, at least in the movies, that kind of romanticization of getting your mum's hand-me-down? We wondered if that was going to become extinct. And this TikTok kind of brought that back to the mind for me, because it made me wonder if everything of value we're going to be able to pass on to our kids now is going to be in the online space. Like, obviously, whether you value your Pinterest login, your Instagram login this much to call it an heirloom, that's personal, that's up to you. I personally think there might be something in that. Just how, like, having a grandmother who is wealthy enough to afford a full fur vintage designer coat back in the 90s, 80s, 70s, and then has been able to keep it preserved well enough to then pass on to you now. That's a status symbol. Will having a digitally curated space that reflects you as a person, reflects your style online, be worthy of passing down? I don't know. Is this like a reshuffling of priorities for our generation? And would you pass on your internet passwords to your kids? And also, really random, which if you can't guess has been the theme of today's podcast, but the account that posted that Pinterest reel, I think her name is Savannah Frank, also had this picture on her profile. And can I just say, this absolutely proves the revival of the 80s aerobic trend aesthetic that we were talking about in the last podcast, and links to personal style coming into the gym. And I actually think this is so fun. Okay, but anyway, next big topic that I promise, because I keep getting sidetracked, but we're on this now, I promise. The Chanel show in the New York subway is giving recession vibes, and I will explain and we can discuss. So this is very much linked to the video I did recently on everything being a recession indicator in fashion and our obsession with cooling fashion trends, recession indicators. I don't know if because that's been on the front of my mind this year, this is why my approach to this is so linked. But the Chanel show, held in an abandoned New York City subway station, was interesting. It certainly blew up on my feed. People were loving it. I think the general vibe was, but I think in general the show was very interesting. The set choice, the location choice for this, I think I've kind of been interpreting in my mind is kind of split into two camps of what they could have been thinking for it when they made this decision. On one hand, showing luxury fashion being used in an everyday setting and kind of trying to normalize that for people, and therefore maybe make luxury fashion more accessible, tap into a bigger consumer market, you know, like bring luxury fashion back down to earth, which seems a little bit contrary with the moves we've talked about luxury fashion doing, trying to elevate itself, trying to prove its luxury, which is why I'm thinking it kind of more firmly sits in another thought camp, which is that this is kind of an indicator that luxury fashion is so expensive now that you have to take public transport to afford it. And yes, obviously with Chanel, you're going to have top buyers who don't have to make this choice. They can buy Chanel, they can rent a luxury car, they can have a helicopter fly them, whatever. But for the aspiring customer that I think luxury fashion is still trying to attract, maybe this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, a little bit like Chanel belongs on the subway. And actually the thought for this came from a TikTok that I saw a couple of days before that immediately pinged into my brain when I saw the Chanel show. I'll read the caption out as always. Walking to the metro with my Jimmy Choo boots because my priorities are effed up. And the video, as you might imagine, is someone on the subway walking with their pretty nice heels, pretty lovely outfit, with the comments, as you'd expect, being very pro. One of them being fashionista, environmentalist, icon. Someone else, a baddie with incredible fashion sense and who's also environmentally friendly, sounds aligned to me. Someone saying, girl, this is the standard in Paris. And the last one, getting your money's worth, showing off the boots and supporting the economic, environmental and social benefits provided by public transport. Priorities are in check. I'm very much in a split mind about this. I really am. Because in one hand, it feels like we're almost like romanticizing public transport and making that seem luxurious and fashiony. And as someone who cares about the environment, anything that makes public transport more glamorous to people is going to be a pro on my list. But you just know that's not what really is going on here. And instead, I think it's either brands trying to give this attainable luxury, or, and this is where I'm leaning, is it almost like a power trip for luxury fashion to rent out a subway car, to rent out an abandoned metro studio, to thoroughly clean that thing before allowing celebrities and influencers down there in their designer garbs to see a runway show? Because yeah, I did see people saying that they didn't see a single rat. People were saying it's quite interesting that Chanel, a French legacy brand, has immersed itself in New York City by doing their couture presentation on the subway there. I think that's very, very interesting. Maybe it's in an attempt to court the American consumer that has been spooked by the tariffs. I'm not sure. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in whatever room the Chanel team was discussing this and really understand their thoughts behind this and hear your guys' thoughts about this. Maybe I'm being a bit too jaded about the thing. Maybe it was just a fun presentation in a subway. Okay, a little palette cleanse after that, I guess, before we get on to another big topic. I got tagged in this photo on Instagram a few weeks ago. I forgot to put it in the last podcast, but if you're not watching this podcast, if you're listening to it, look at your screen right now, just for a second, because this shirt that a subscriber turned into a lace detailed gorgeous blouse is stunning. And I'm actually so happy that they said my upcycling video I did recently was the inspiration behind this. I've never been prouder of you guys. Like, this is so cool. And anytime anyone does this because of a video I've done, I want to know about it. So make sure you're tagging me. But also, this is good timing because I was shopping yesterday in Give Your Best, a charity store here in the UK I've spoken about so much on this channel. Really, really great cause. I love to support them. They're doing a charity fundraiser right now for Christmas. And as part of that, they did a shopping event that I went to last night with some friends. And I picked up the most gorgeous two tops that I cannot wait to show you. One I'm going to keep for Instagram, but the other one I have to show you now because it fits in with this lace theme. Let me get it. Have you ever seen something so gorgeous as a rat and boa lace top, dress, maybe if you're feeling confident, on the shelves in a charity store? Like, when was the last time you saw designer in a charity store? And I actually think it could only be Give Your Best that has something like this on the racks right now. So yeah, I'm so happy I got my hands on this and I can't wait to style it. I first have to hand wash it and I am very, very nervous. I will be taking off all my rings and doing it very, very carefully. But yeah, I thought I'd show you guys that and say that Give Your Best fundraiser is still running till the end of December. If you thought about donating, then do it before it runs out. If you want to help but you don't have the money to donate, then go watch the video I did with the brand recently because I'm donating the ad revenue from that. So it's kind of like a free donation for you guys. And okay, would this be a refashion episode now without a cigarette trend update? I feel like it's been the last 3 ones, and I specifically remember last episode saying that I wouldn't be doing any more. I'm immediately breaking that vow because we have to talk about something someone sent me. Cigarette fast furniture. I fear we're at the end, folks. I do. Someone sent me this example of a floor lamp that looks like a vintage cigarette, and I think we've lost the plot. I also got sent something else that was like DIY cigarette IKEA lamp candles. And I think the fact we've got 2 examples here already is an early indicator that this is going to be a trend. I feel like actually we haven't talked much about fast furniture on the channel, and it's something I want to talk about more. Maybe do a dedicated video if you guys are interested, because I do feel like there's so much to talk about how interior design has normalized changing your home with the seasons, just like you change your wardrobe with the seasons. And there's a lot of pressure to conform to interior design trends, buy more for your home. And I think a lot of like fake nostalgic things that creep into fashion that also creep into furniture and trinkets for your home, like the whole trinket trend, really feels indicative of this fast furniture epidemic, which might be controversial because I know people love their trinkets, and so do I. You might have noticed the Christmas trinket display all around me right now, so I am feeling a little bit hypocritical. But that kind of relentless pressure from the furniture industry to update, to buy more, to have a perfectly landscaped dinner table, that's just fast fashion in another font. And I think it'll be good to talk about. Actually, speaking of interior design real quick, not that it's my expertise, but did we see Kendall's AD tour? I have to say I loved her mountain home, but I think it also ties into this topic really well. It's so interesting to me that there's this kind of rise of like vintagey, or I think Kendall call it like grandma chic interior design trend happening at the same time as we're seeing like a vintage archival fashion resurgence, and the two things again being very linked trend-wise, linked as a trend but also as a status symbol, and kind of this old money aesthetic creeping into interior design the way it crept into fashion in the previous years. So yeah, that's potentially a topic for the new year. Let me know your thoughts. We'll discuss it, and maybe it'll be a thing. On to another random video I found when I was doing one of my many scroll sessions. The uncool girl becoming a thing. Now, the TikTok I first saw this on was an uncool girl Christmas gift guide, which felt a little bit silly. I don't know if that's the word, but like the first thing on this list was an iPod Classic. And to me, that's not uncool right now on TikTok. Like the way TikTok is glamorizing analog, the way it's been glamorizing iPods for so long, to say asking for an iPod Classic on your Christmas list is uncool is a non-chronically online indicator to me. But I think in a broader sense, the anti-cool, anti-trend, anti-mainstream, exclusivity, gatekeeping behavior is going to explode in 2026, even more than when we've been talking about it in 2025. And actually, not to spoil this video, but I am really excited about it. I've got one lined up between Christmas and New Year's coming out, where I speak to a lot of familiar faces in fashion. You guys will recognize some people, about their 2026 predictions. And like I said, don't want to spoil anything, but the absolute difference in what people are saying for that, and the like pockets of the internet that I feel now exist that at one point didn't exist so much, they were just mainstream trends, feels like an indicator of 2026 social media. This very fragmented, micro trendy, but not necessarily flash in the pan micro trendy, but just like niche trend culture feels like social media 2026 to me. And it's proven by the answers all of these creators are giving. And I'm so excited to bring that out. And it's going to be coming in, I think I said, between Christmas and New Year's. So make sure you're following the channel so you don't miss out, because that's going to be a really fun one. Also, a little call out request for that video. Send me in your 2026 trend predictions. I'm going to be doing a Instagram story, so make sure you're following me on there. You'll see when it comes out, because I think it will be fun either in that video or in the first podcast back of the new year. We talk about your 2026 predictions. Okay. Let's talk H&M and Stella McCartney. I mentioned there was a fast fashion, luxury fashion collaboration that sums up the chaos of 2025 in fashion. So if you don't know, then buckle up for this. Basically, the H&M rebrand continues, having been a big topic of 2025, with the brand continuing to do everything it can to convince us that it's not fast fashion, that it's turned a sustainable corner from its original roots, and that it's better than other players in the fashion industry. It's doing everything it can to convince us of that, except changing its business model, or reducing their polyester, or volume production, or anything actually meaningful. I saw this take from Good On You, which I think is really funny. If Stella McCartney is collaborating with H&M, does that make her brand less sustainable or H&M more sustainable? Interesting question. And I think for my part, it's actually quite clear in that it makes Stella McCartney less sustainable. Every time we see like a special collaboration or a designer collaboration, you simply have to compare it to the main collection of the fashion brand that this designer is partnering with, and see the parallels in what they're pushing in order to see if something is genuine, if it's genuinely helping the brand improve, or if it's just a flash in the pan PR statement. For example, this Stella McCartney collaboration is apparently using certified responsible materials, many of which are recycled. But obviously, most of H&M clothes aren't. So how much change is actually happening at that brand? How much change is Stella bringing? Plus, okay, the collection looks very much H&M and not so much Stella. I saw someone saying this exact thing for the look Emily Ratajkowski wore on the runway. Literally this exact comment on Reddit, and I honestly couldn't agree more. Unfortunately, Emily is beautiful, but that dress is not. That dress is H&M with a price tag. But anyway, this entire collection being a recession indicator, I think yes. This tweet actually about the whole collection kind of sums it up. Stella McCartney for H&M, it feels like the antithesis of her personal brand philosophy, but hey, times are tough. So indicative of the entire fashion industry in 2025, wrapped in one little bow, wrapped in one little tweet. So there you go. Speaking of fast fashion, speaking of questionable choices, kind of last big topic for today's episode, sent in by one of my subscribers, Rose, who said, have you seen the viral Gap hoodies that keep bleeding in the washing machine and have caused chaos? I think Gap deserves all 50 shades of Katie for this. And I kind of love that. If you haven't seen them, if you haven't seen this hoodie, which I think has actually been trending since the beginning of this year or even the end of last year. So it's been around for a while now, but the saga has continued. It's lasted time, this trend, this drama going on with this hoodie. And it really took a turn recently, hence why we're covering it now. Basically, the original TikTok Rose sent me was a girl trying on the hoodie saying, these neon Gap hoodies literally have me in a chokehold. Comments on this were interesting. I miss when Gap used to be cheap. Gap for $100 is insane. Although I think the hoodies were actually $70 at the time. But yeah, like big money for fast fashion. And then other comments on this saying, how do they wash? I hear the pink leaks. To which the creator of this video that's promoting them said, I've owned the pink one for over a year and I've washed it many times. Never had this issue. Wash it with my pinks though. So potentially that creator was not aware of what she was pushing. The absolute chaos that people could have been getting involved with. But the viral videos that have been going on from other people with this hoodie, yeah, they're not good. One is just a video of someone's sink absolutely filled with neon pink water because they've submerged the hoodie to pre-wash it before even putting it in the wash for the first time, and the dye has just gone everywhere. Other people have it in their washing machine and are showing the water in there just swishing around hot pink. I've seen a TikTok of someone saying, mood because I can finally wear the set without it dyeing everything pink, having a little dance. Love that for them. The comments on these videos are all indicating the same thing. Someone saying, yeah, it's really bad. The color bleeds so bad. And they saying like immediately, mine were wrecked after one wash and one time wear. Someone else said it stained the clothes in the washer machine. And also when wearing my sweater, it stained my Apple Watch band. And in the same comments as this, I saw someone else's comment, which said, did you see the video where it stained that lady's couch? And guys, I looked this up and someone literally tagged the brand saying Gap help. Like the video of her grey beige cream couch with this so noticeable neon pink stain that's apparently still there after an hour of cleaning it is heartbreaking. She said she was sitting on the couch for 1 to 2 hours and it's on the cushion behind her, it's on the cushion below her. Her husband is sat there, his hand is over his mouth, like, what are we going to do? So many comments on this video agreeing. And the creator of this video confirming that she washed it multiple times and it still bled like this through the couch. And the fact that this is happening when Gap is trying to reposition itself as a luxury brand, bringing in Zach Posen as creative director, and yet they're still having issues like this with their fast fashion is brand damaging. I did look online at the product listing. I found this really funny part of their product. They literally say now in the product specs, they have a note, neon pink style requires separate care instructions. The dye used in the crafting of this product is prone to crocking or color transfer. Please avoid contact with light colored fabric or upholstery. The fact they've put that on the website but haven't thought to like discontinue this hoodie, maybe make that a little bit bigger in the information on the website, not just in the like fine print, like the bit that no one reads, is insane. But the fact that they've put it at all tells me that they've had to probably do a couple of refunds, maybe some discounts, a lot of PR work for this. The hoodie, interestingly enough, is discounted on the website right now. I'm not sure if it's part of a bigger site-wide discount or if they're trying to discontinue it and sell it out, but very, very interesting. And side note, if anyone follows me that works at Gap and wants to talk to me anonymous about this, my Instagram DMs are open. I would love to hear from you. But yeah, wild. Great sum up to 2025 fashion, I think. And last thing, we're going to wrap up this video with this DM I got. They said, needed to message you about this crazy convo I overheard yesterday. Was in the bathroom and these girls were discussing the fact that they refuse to believe Express is fast fashion because of the prices and said, and I quote, because it's giving high end, at least the prices are. Immediately thought of you in your videos. Because yeah, You know, when we talk about how luxury fashion propaganda shouldn't work and no one should believe that luxury prices actually indicate quality, and how do people believe this? It's just not true of the average fashion buyer, I think. I think people are just swayed by a price tag so often, and maybe they just don't want to think about what they don't know. It is interesting. And maybe just shows that we need to be spreading the message of fashion's propaganda more. So is this a way for me to sneakily ask for you to like and comment and share this video so it reaches more people? Maybe, but I have zero shame about it. And I'm going to use that as an end to the video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's probably going to be the last podcast episode of 2025, but we will be back immediately in 2026 with a new one. That's not to say it's going to be the last episode on my YouTube channel, but the last chatty podcast episode like this for a couple of weeks at least. So if you are a listener to these videos and these videos only, I hope you have a lovely, happy holidays, and I'll speak to you soon, besties. Have a great day.